I wasn't sure whether to actually do it or not. But yeah, I actually did a Facebook live earlier, which is something I haven't done for a very, 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 very long time. And sorry, it's a bit cold here. And the reason why I did it was because my phone bill actually got paid on the 25th of April, but for some reason Telstra hasn't reconnected my phone, so I can't ring out. And I got gifted a ticket. There's this dance party on tonight in Perth, and it's an amazing dance party. And I wanted to go. I got notification of it a couple of months ago, and I wanted to go. So I missed the early bird tickets. Really wanted to go, but I just knew financially it was it was sort of like like come on, I've got dogs to feed and blah blah. So I accepted it. I knew it was going to be a really good dance party, but I just went, it's okay, Nadina, it's going to be okay. And so, um, and then, anyways, a couple of days ago, I was thinking, oh, maybe I really should just take the plunge. And I've got this job, I've got money coming in. I thought maybe I should just really treat myself to this. I need to dance. I need to have some fun, right? And because I love dancing, I love swimming in the beach. I've missed it all the summer at the beach, and I love dancing. So I was like, yep, gotta have some fun. And then what happened was, I had op shop duty today, and my intention was, I was thinking, well, I'll work out. Maybe after my op shop duty, I'll decide if I want to go and just get an on the door ticket, which is more expensive. But anyways, I got blessed. I got gifted a ticket this morning. This really good friend of mine, Liz Kingston, actually gifted me a ticket, and I was like, wow, well, there you go. And I thought, okay, cool. So I'm going to get a dance tonight, and I'm really looking forward to this dance. I just need to dance. I need to have some fun. And it's a very interesting timing for me to be going down to Perth to do this dancing. And I just spoke with a friend on Facebook Messenger. Who can ring people on Messenger. I'm at home when I've got access to Wi-Fi. I can ring people. And I just rang her, and we had a bit of a chat. And she said, I really want you to dress up. And really, I'm not going to dress up like I used to. I just not in the energy for it, but I'm going to still make an effort. And I've spoken to a few of my friends today, and my mentor as well. And I've been getting some. Oh, I spoke to the pastor, the priest at the Catholic Church that the op shop runs at, and got given a lot of guidance and advice and some support in ways to move forward from a situation that I find myself in. Um, it's an interesting situation. It's not interesting. It's a tragedy. It's actually a tragedy. And I really don't even know where to start. So for those of you who have been following my Facebook lives, I started June, July last year. Um, you know the story well, and then when I started my YouTube channel, there's a lot that's disclosed there as well. So there's a lot of evidence there. There's a lot of information there, and I don't like to repeat myself too much for those of you who have been listening to the whole story. But then I know there's some of you that don't know the story at all, and but it's such a big story. Anyway, there's lots of people that have been knowing the story in real life as well. So at risk of repeating myself, or at risk of saying something you've already heard, I just want to do a synopsis, just a bit of a synopsis, okay? There's this person in my life who I thought was a godly, ordained, godly, divine connection, because every time I tried to this person, I've been in love with this man. His name is Anthony McLeod, and I've been in love with him um, since, I think it was 2000. I can't remember what date it was now, but a really long time ago. So it was the 28th of February on 2016 from memory. Okay, was when I fell in love with him. And he'd been desiring me, wanting me for years prior to that. So we'd been long-term friends for about 8 years. Please don't hold me to exact dates right now, because I really can't remember exact dates right now. But there will come a time when I write it all down and this and that, right? Because it's obviously going to become part of a curriculum or a book, or it's all part of this learning process that I've been going through. So all the dates are there because all the letters are there and all the diary entries and this and that, right? So not all of them. The last 2 years there hasn't been hardly any diary entries, but there is the dates to back up roughly when all this happened. So we're approximating. So there was quite a few years there where we had this friendship, and there was times where he was going, if we can't be more than friends, well, I can't spend time with you. And I said, well, we can only be friends because I'm not attracted to you. I just wasn't actually attracted to him physically like that, but I loved him as a person. And then he decided, no, I just don't want to be your friend. So I'm going to come. I can handle that. We're not more. So he was desiring me and chasing me and this and that, rah, rah. And we worked out how to have a friendship with what for him was unreciprocated love. And it was really weird because years later he said to me, I'm paying you back now for all those times that you didn't give back to me, and I was loving you, I wanted you, and you were off with other people and this and that, rah, rah. And I said, oh my gosh, really? Okay. Anyways, um, it was actually my son, my eldest son, Jacob, who actually said to me, Mom, you need to open up to Anthony. He's your man. He's your, he's everything you need. I said, it took me a year and a half to become attracted to him because he's actually 17 years my senior. And back in the day when I was 36, I'd come out of a very healthy, good marriage. We had a really amazing separation. We met when we were young. We had our 3 kids, and we brought 3 children up, and it was really good, healthy, 10-year marriage. But he was 21, I was 23 when we met, and he decided he wanted to, he was a surfer and he wanted to spend money on himself and this and that, rah, rah. And I was like, okay, so be it, go golf and do your surfing travel, rah, rah. And so like we had a joint account, for example, and he was making a lot of money. And we had this joint account, which I never touched at all, ever. But he's just still kept it there open. It was just a relationship just based on complete trust, and it was a really good marriage. And then when we had this really mutual healthy separation, we were working really well at being co-parents, and I started dancing. I moved up to Perth and he stayed. He went to Bunbury, because prior to that we were in Margaret River. This is all in Western Australia. And then I was dancing. It was fun. I was dancing, and then anyways, my then husband, we had a plan of, like, a year after we separated, we had this set date of when we could be sexual with other people, because I was like, come on, I've been going out dancing, I'm meeting all these people, and I'm really keen. This right. We had a set date, and it was a mutually agreeable date, and we moved on. And then I just went to this really exciting, what my kids call it, the heyday of their life. They reckon it was the best time of their life, and for me, it was the heyday of my life as well. It was fun. Like, I had backpackers stay in my house, and I had a 2-bedroom unit, and I had 8 people living there at one time. It was just fun, and we worked it out really well, and it was just a fun, really super fun time. And I was actively having whichever lover I decided or I wanted, or blah blah blah. Like, I was open to, I was a completely single woman, and so I was meeting all these really beautiful men, like stunning men, and also stunning women, and that's what I was used to. and that's what I was attracted to at that time. So during that time, I didn't find my now husband. I didn't find him then attractive. Like, sorry, I saw him as a lovely guy, but I wasn't actually attracted to him. And it took me a year and a half to actually see through the age, through the wrinkles, and to see his actual divine handsomeness. But I'd already loved him on a soul level prior to that, so I just deeply loved him as a person. And then when I became attracted to him physically, that was it for me. That was just like, it was a real soul deep, like absolutely beside, like just completely deeply in love, like so in love. I've never loved anyone the way I love my husband. And what actually happened was interesting, because I had a really healthy, good relationship with my first husband. Um, a really loving relationship, and it was interesting that my love for my second husband is fast. I've never experienced that type of love with anyone. I've said this to counselors and to friends, and I've never I've never felt so safe with anyone. Apricot nectar, like when we're making love, our sexual chemistry is just next level. Our friendship is next level. The playfulness that we go really childlike, and we can be and show all we are. We've got years and years and years and years and years, so many years of these amazing memories, and they're based on fun, just frolicking and being silly and playful and childish, and also having this insane chemistry, really strong chemistry where it's just next level, next level, next level. So those feelings of the the playfulness of the friendship, the intensity of the chemistry, these elements were like a bind, which we both kept trying to break and pull away from, because he didn't want to be in a relationship. He wanted to be a hermit. And I would have to accept those times of him being a hermit and just live my own life waiting for when he'd be ready again. It could be months or weeks. It was actually excruciating. Like the whole time I've known him, it's been excruciating, because I've had to like love this person with my heart and soul, who I only got to see and spend time with every now and again. And I just had to utilize the moments. I just had to take full advantage of the moments for when he would be open to our time, and those times would be magical, and then he'd shut down again and disappear. And then when he came back, he would always say, I was thinking about you every day, I want to contact you every day, but I forced myself not to. And I kept saying, why are you doing that? Why are you blocking our love? Why are you blocking us being able to soar into what we can be? And he just kept that going for years and years and years and years and years. It was excruciating. And every time I tried to break it, end it, move on, I had some relationships with some really beautiful men, and I had to end them, because I'd say I'm not in love with you. I'm just too in love with this other, and this other wasn't even reciprocating. Like there was times when I'd break up this amazing relationship. I've spoken about Daryl's a classic. He was one of the most special men I've ever had in my life, and he ticked all the boxes. Every box you could ever imagine needed to be. Please, Alvin, no. Every box you could, outside. Every box, thank you. Every box you could ever imagine being needed to be ticked, this man Daryl ticked, except for I wasn't in love with him. And so after a 3-month relationship, I ended it. And he goes, "Oh, is there someone else?" I said, no, trust me, he's not around. We haven't even been in contact. It's just that he's in my heart, he's in my mind. So I was prepared to be single. And this has been many, 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 many times. I accepted that I was going to have to be single for the rest of my life, because I couldn't love another. So I just had to accept that I was going to have this torturous life, like a life where I was not with my love, because my love wouldn't reciprocate, but that I'm better off alone than trying to start a relationship with someone that I can't fall in love with. So that I realized, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to spend the rest of my life single. And I started to accept that reality. I went, this is the weirdest reality in my life. I could have there's all these men that want me. There's all these good men in my life. There's, as in, I have a lot of good male friends. There was always potential to meet someone new, and yet I wasn't open to any of it. Sorry, I'm really shivering right now. I'm going to put the aircon on. There's all this. I just had to accept that I'm just going to have to spend my life single and alone because I'm too in love with this person that can't or won't love me back. And I kept creating all these decisions, like where to go, what to do. I even went to move to Melbourne. So funny because my now husband told me about a year ago, oh, I made sure you didn't go to Melbourne. I didn't want you going to Melbourne. I was even going to go to New York, you know. And he kept saying, he told me just recently, not recently, but no, I can't remember, it was 6 months ago or something. He told me that he was deliberately stopping me from going off places because he didn't want me to go. So he was actually stopping me from moving on, but still not committing to me. I'm just going to shut this back door. It's getting really cold. And that was weird because I kept trying to move on and trying to make my life work. And I was going to go to, like, wanted to go to Melbourne. I thought the only way I'm going to get this guy out of my life is if I go to a whole nother country. And I just start fresh and scratch, completely start from scratch. It was this serious. And, oh, it's really cold. I'm going to have to put my woolen jacket on. Hang on. Oh, but just the temperature just dropped significantly, actually. Significantly. This is pure wool, this jacket. It's really nice. So anyways, the journey goes, I kept trying to move on, trying to make life work. And then what I thought was God kept bringing me back. It kept saying, go visit him with the coffee, go do this, go do this. And I shared with you all so many times when we first moved up to Northam, and around April, we moved up on the 4th of November 2021. And within days, weeks, I felt so alone, so isolated, so depressed, because my husband was just, watching computer games, playing computer games, the same computer game he'd been playing for 14 years, watching YouTube and sleeping. And I was like, why is he not caring about this beautiful property we've bought, this beautiful land we've got? Like, why doesn't he even want to see the sunsets? It was the most beautiful sunsets, right? I couldn't work it out. I was like, none of it made sense to me. And then I was just working on the land. I was all motivated. I'm going to keep making us a beautiful home. And then I was saying to him, like, is it the moving from Perth to Northam? The mandates kicked in as well, so we were excluded from getting takeaway coffee, and our camper van broke down the day we moved up and it ended up costing us $12,000, but we lost it. We didn't have it for 9 months, and it chomped away at all the spare money that was for tanks and for this and for that. That was very depressing. And we couldn't go anywhere. So these mandates had kicked in and we couldn't even go traveling. And then we ended up getting a ute, put a mattress in, put a canopy on the ute and put a mattress in the back. So I did a tiny bit of traveling in the ute, but not much. Still haven't yet gone camping in the camper van. Still haven't yet actually had a camper van trip. We've stayed in one night and 2 days, but we've never done 2 nights in a row. Oh, no, we did, sorry, on our wedding anniversary. But apart from that time, we actually haven't done any traveling in the camper van. So we were isolated, and I was saying to my husband, I was really trying to communicate with him, like, why are you withdrawn so much? Why aren't you enjoying the sunsets, like this beautiful depth, this beautiful home, like, and then we got a dog, and I thought the dogs would motivate him to want to get out in the yard, but not the yard, but the land. But then he used to complain about it being the same walk. And I'm like, wow, why can't you just see life for the beauty that it is? And I was like, wow, you're really depressed. We've got to do something about it. But back then you couldn't actually do anything. There's my bloody boot. The dogs grabbed the boots. Oh, I hate it when they do that. They keep chomping at my boots, and I was looking for it all morning. See what they're doing to it? Oh, found it. I was very concerned that he was so withdrawn, and I was saying to him, because he got excluded from, so his sister excluded him from, they all excluded him from Christmas and birthdays and Easters and all sorts of things, because of his choice to marry me. And he tried to tell me he didn't care if I ever saw them again. They meant nothing to him. He had nothing good to say about these people. And I said, I don't think that's true. I think must be hurting you. It must be hurting you. This is excruciating. Invite them up. Like they might be excluding you, but you don't need to be excluding them. Invite them to our home. And he goes, I don't want them here. And then he would ignore their messages. And I would say, come on, let them know how you're going, this and that, rah, rah. And there was once where I even did wrote a couple of texts and said, here, what do you think about this? And he deleted the nice parts of it. So the bits said, hope you're well, come up, come visit, would love to see all the stuff. He goes, I don't want to say anything like that. So he really was, and like we were doing things like when we went down to Perth, because I had a property down there that I had to renovate to bring it back to neutral. He wouldn't visit anyone. He didn't want to see anyone. He says, I have no friends. You're my only friend. I said, you've got to nurture your relationships. You can't just have me as your only friend. You can't. And I was trying really hard to help him out, to step out of his, to keep nurturing these friendships and to nurture his relationship with these family members, and even reach out and communicate with his children. And I'm just like, really noticing a pattern of just withdrawing, and I was alarmed, and I didn't know what to do about it, because I felt really isolated, because I was up here in this small country town, new country town, and my husband didn't even want to really explore it with me or be involved in life. And I got really depressed. I got suicidal, because I felt like I was like, what have I done? What have I done? I've committed to this man who I love my heart and soul, but he's not loving life. He's not loving life. It was just such a painful time. And we couldn't get access to, well, we could have got access to support services, but you had to wear a mask, which we both refused to do. Well, I would never do that. I've refused from the beginning with all of that crap. And that's right. And then they did the vac whack crap thing, and it just was a mad time for us all, right? Everyone in the whole world, mad time. It was a really difficult time for the whole world. The whole world was going crazy. It was scary, and we used to talk about, at least we've got our bit of paradise, and he used to say, my bit of paradise, I'm completely happy here, So he was, would profess regularly how happy he was with me and with our home and our life in Northam, and our animals, our cat and our dog, initially just the dog and then the cat. And that, there was a part of me that obviously, there was a real joy in it just being him and me and our dog, and it was just us. And he says, it's just us. The world doesn't matter. It's just you, me, and Alvin. And there was something nice about that. But at the same time, I was like, we can't be codependent on each other. We need to be reaching out and to create network. And I was trying to get involved in the Northern community and put my roots down, because I'm if you're into astrology, I'm a Gemini cusp, Cancer, and I really need a home. And the underlying problem for me was I'd spent months renovating my husband's property in Dianella, and I'd added $100,000 value to the property. But I'd spent a really long time working really hard. I did a lot of body injuries to myself. I was working late at night. I was working in the rain. I just was pushing my body to the nth degree, and I should never have done that. But the reason why I did that was because we're renovating the house. Initially, I was just helping him with the house for him to make it how he wanted it, because he was so excited about having his first ever home. And he said he'd never, ever in his whole life ever been able to make a place his home. And I said, what about when you were married? He goes, no, of course not. I never had any ability to say or do anything. And I said, that's sad. That's sad. Like, that you've never actually felt like you've had a home your whole life. And I said, well, how do you want this property to look like? And so started helping him choose wallpapers and this and that, rah, rah, and got my friend Brad to help out with all his skill levels and this and that. We started transforming his home into something really beautiful. And during that time frame was when my husband actually said to me, you can stay as much as you like. You can stay here as much as you want. And I said, really? And okay, I went, cool, well. And then we sort of started a relationship. But this all actually started because prior to him buying that house, obviously I helped. I worked really hard to help get his mother's house ready for sale. Spent 6 weeks nearly every day working on the house to clean it and get rid of 60 years worth of stuff that was in the shed. And that was actually, we were spending a lot of time together. Like, we were spending every day together. And, his brother was being really nasty to me to being there, but doing nothing to help the house out, but blah, blah, blah. And Anthony was really stepping up. He was really stepping up to say, she's actually here to help because no one else is. And so that's sort of, it started at that point. We started spending like days together, which is something we'd never done before. We're getting into a real routine. We did our first shopping, I remember, at North Perth. We did our first ever shop together, and that was super exciting for me. And that's right, we started doing meals together, cooking meals together, and it was really fun for me. I was really enjoying it. And I'm pretty sure he was too, because he was smiling and this and that, rah, rah. And, yeah, it was fun. It was a fun time. And then, anyways, then he bought his apartment. He moved to his apartment and his over 55 villa and that. And then I basically, I can't actually remember exactly. Oh, that's right. I had my property that I had in Mount Lawley. I had a neighbour who had been fine for a while, but then she became a meth head, and it became really scary. Like, and some really bad people were coming to the set of units, and it was a really scary place to be. And I was under attack because she thought that one of her boyfriends and me were having an affair. So she started to, because one day he was out the front and I said hello as I was walking past or something, but she was in paranoia. And when meth heads when they're paranoid, are dangerous. They're so dangerous. And she literally was smashing my house up, keeping me a prisoner in my house. I couldn't get out of that. It was scary. It was scary. It was so scary. So I basically decided to leave. I decided to move to find a property, a calm, gentle property at Fremantle near the beach. And I was down there, and I was going to make it work. I was going to keep working, renovating these properties. He had all these little buildings on the land and rah rah. And then the first lockdown happened, and I was in this place that had windows that didn't have what do you call it? Fly screen, mozzie screens, and doors that didn't lock. And the dude that owned the property, an older dude, he hadn't done anything on it for years. So I spent the first few weeks just removing rubbish from all the squatters, and I'm talking about something like 12. He had a what do you call it? A commercial van, 12 massive loads and trailer loads of rubbish. There was so much rubbish there. So I spent the first 6 and cleaning walls, scrubbing walls down, so just working hard, blah blah blah. And then there was this group of meth head squatters that wouldn't leave the property, and he wouldn't get rid of them. And one of these meth head squatters, had me up by my throat, smashing my head into this cupboard, like off my feet, in the air, smashing my head against a thing and spitting in my face, and he still wouldn't get rid of them. He was too scared they were going to destroy his property. So I said, well, I can't be here. This is not safe for me. So then I went back to my Mount Lawley property. And during all this time, I did not communicate with my now husband, my sort of on-off lover, quite a few years at that point. I wasn't in communication with him because I wanted to see. I was just in this space of, I was pulling away. I was trying to create a new life. I was like, I need to, because when we spent all that time together, working on his mother's house to get it ready for sale, a part of me got really excited that it was the beginning of a relationship because, here I am deeply in love with the guy and he was happily spending time with me. But then when it was time to buy his house, obviously he was focused just on his property, which is completely fine. And I realised it became, I can't actually remember exactly what happened, but something happened that made me go, that's it. I've got to move away completely and just create my own life. 100% got to move away from this person. He's not at all. Oh, that's right. I think he probably said something like, "I love spending time with you, but remember we're not girlfriend and boyfriend." Something like that. And I'm like, why do you always have to put that comment in? Because that's what he was always say to people, and himself, me, others. Really. And there was people who used to say, "It's so obvious you two are in a relationship," and they'd say to him, "Look, we all know you're in a relationship. Everyone knows you're in a relationship." And the more you try to deny it, the more. Anyways, he was just really, really determined to make out that he didn't care about me or love me, or that there was nothing there. And I guess at this point, I'd had years and years and years of this, years and years and years of this behaviour. I was like, I really need to focus on my heart. I need to focus on not hurting so much over this unreciprocated love or the magic. It's like a drug. The magic, it's so exquisite, and then it gets shut and taken away, and it's so exposed to something that's just incredibly amazing. And he would say things like, 1,000 kisses more, I still couldn't kiss you enough, kissing me all over. So I, Mr. Anthony, am yours. He'd say things that meant so much to me, and then he'd shut down and withdraw and not be available. So I was used to this run, pull, push, hot, cold, run, but it was breaking my heart, getting worse. Like, the more it went on, the more it just kept breaking my heart. And I'm going, this is not changing. This pattern is there. And I have a lot of long-term friends. He and I have a lot of long-term friends that have watched this pattern. And, I've had plenty of people say, you got to stop letting him abuse you like this. You've got to stop letting this horrendous cycle continue. And not that people called me stupid, but they're going, you deserve better. You need to move on. He's not giving you, he doesn't see your value, he doesn't see your worth, he doesn't respect or honor you. And I'm like, I want to move on. I want to not have him in my heart. But every time I move away, anyways, this time I moved to Beaconsfield in Fremantle. I was like, not contacting him. I made this real effort. I'm going to do it. I'm actually going to do the cold turkey. I'm going to do it. I've moved to Fremantle and I'm going to make this work. I don't have to move to another country, just moving to another. And he didn't know where I was, but he reckons he heard on the grapevine that I'd moved to Fremantle. And this is why I've shared with you all before. This was where it got really, when I first came up to Northern, and that March, hang on, we moved up in November, December, January, February. It was around the March, April that it got really bad. 2022, January, February, March, April. So it was actually during that time when I was like, what have I done? What have I done? What have I done? None of this makes any sense. I feel like I made the biggest mistake. Like, everything felt absolutely horrendous, like really horrendous. And I'm like, so was that the devil in disguise that said that back then? And I've shared with you all this before. Like, was that the devil in disguise, just tricking me to try to make me commit suicide? Because this is awful. This is awful. I'm here in a house with my husband, but I've never been this alone, ever. It was awful. Like living with a corpse, except for when he was choosing to be magical, which was only every now and again. Like, why is this pattern still there? And I just didn't have the energy or I didn't know what to do. I felt so tired. I'd already renovated the Dianella property and I had all these body injuries from it. I had to renovate the the Highgate property, I was so physically run down. I was walking around like an 80-year-old. I was walking around like a cripple. I could barely walk. I couldn't use my arms. I couldn't use my wrists. Everyone who saw it was so alarmed. I was limping all the time. My body was breaking down. I was literally broken. I couldn't lift. I had to actually put my hand under my elbow in order to lift my right arm up because my right arm wouldn't lift up on its own. I was constantly limping. I was having major sciatic back pain, couldn't sleep from pain. I was in abject, excruciating physical pain, and I was still working on the house and unpacking everything. That's why I kept saying, you're going to unpack some boxes. Are you going to make this into a home? Like, here you are, it's your home. Make it into a home. You know? And he goes, oh, why should I? Why would I put anything around? You'll just undo it. I said, well, excuse me? Put things around. Make it your home. See how it goes. I said, they might happen to you before. Stop talking to me the way you need to talk to other people. The things that you need to say to others, say it to them. That person who didn't let you unpack, that person who don't actually unpack, put things away, see what it's like. I am not these other people. I am not all those other people who've done all this stuff to you. And I'm like, and yeah, as it is, there's things that he actually moved around, put around, which is still exactly where he put them because it's the perfect spot for it, because it's our home and he made something perfect. Not that he's acknowledged that yet, but that fear of unpacking because he thought his efforts were going to be wasted or useless and he was, blah, blah, blah. Well, we'll go into that later. It doesn't matter even that much, but it was just sad. I was like, can you not show any verve? Can you not show any incentive? Can you not show any excitement? Or verve is the word, verve. Like, where is the zest that was at Dianella when he used to constantly look at the photo of this property and go, oh, and he was so excited about our chooks and about our garden, about this and about that. And he was so excited up until it became real, up until we moved up here. And then he went bloop and pulled right back and did nothing. Seriously, very little. Like, he's done probably 12 jobs in 17 months, maybe 21. Like, really, like he would, and there's, I could actually list all the different things he's done, but there'd be weeks and months where he just didn't have the energy or the desire to do anything. He just didn't have that verve to work on the property or make it his home. But then he was stressing out that it wasn't a home. I'm like, well, come on, do something about it. Anyways, also, let's have some fun. Let's actually do something and have some fun, because we haven't yet actually just frolicked or played or, just being allowed to just be. There's always seemed to be this job that, sorry, I don't want to go into that right now. That's actually a whole another topic. We haven't still had our holiday. We never had a honeymoon. We haven't actually had a holiday yet. I'll just decline this. We haven't actually had a holiday. We haven't actually done really that much fun stuff since we've known each other. It's just been a lot of working at making a space into a home. Can't you see that I'll just decline that. I was going to answer it. Well, I better not, just in case it shuts the YouTube down. So back to the Dianella property. When I came back from Beaconsfield, as I've shared with you all, this is one of the pivotal moments that I had to question for months and months and months and months and months, when I felt like I was going insane, because I just felt like, has the devil deceived me and created a nightmare, and I just believed it was God guiding me. So what actually happened was, as I've shared with you before, a really big moment. I've shared it with my pastor at the church. I've shared it with heaps of Christian friends. I've actually shared this same story with quite a few people to get their viewpoint on it. So I've come back from Beaconsfield. I've reset up my Highgate property. I had moved to Fremantle to create a fresh start, to shut my mind and my heart down from Anthony, my current husband, but we were just on-off lovers, and he refused to commit to me. So I was actually consciously working at getting him out of my life so that he had no space in my heart or mind anymore to keep hurting, because I had to fall out of love. I had to somehow fall out of love, shut my heart down from loving him. So I come back from Beaconsfield and I'm making my Mount Lawley property, my Highgate property work. I'm set it all up completely differently. I'm getting really excited. I'm getting this, okay, I've moved back and I can still be in Mount Lawley. And I've had a few months now where we've had no contact, and I've weeks where I'm not even thinking about him. So, yep, making some really good head start here. And then out the blue one day, like the angel was just sitting right next to me in the car. Go to Anthony right now with a coffee. I said, no way, F-U-C-K-O-F-F. That's what I said to the angel. F-U-C-K-O-F-F. No way am I going to his house with a coffee. I'm getting him out of my heart. I'm moving on. The angel goes, go to Anthony's now with a coffee. I said, no, I refuse. F-U-C-K-O-F-F. So I'm talking to this angel in the passenger seat, right? Really loudly, going, I'm not doing it. And then the third time, the angel goes, go to Anthony now. And I've spoken to a few people about the yelling. They said, yeah, they've heard angels yell at them like, now, do it now. And they're really assertive, like, now. And you go, what? And you go, I really don't want to. I'm really not okay about this. No, I felt like a sullen little bratty child going, no, I don't want to. But I knew I had to because a couple of years ago, someone reached out to me a lot. They kept ringing me, and I kept going, oh, I'll ring them back eventually. And I had God or angel say, answer that call. And a day after, I kept getting these fervent messages, answer that call. I got a call from this person's brother saying that he'd, SUICIDED the day before. So he'd been contacting me for 3 days straight. And if I'd answered the call, I know I could have saved his life. And I know that's why he's ringing me. And the other one is my brother. He was reaching out to me a lot before he SUICIDAD. I don't know the spelling, but there's these words that YouTube doesn't like you saying on, blah, blah, blah. And so I've had 2 times where I was, more than 2 times, but 2 times that I distinctly remember being told to ring someone or communicate with someone really clearly, and I didn't heed it, and both times the person died. Okay, so, and one of those people was my brother. So, I learned don't ignore angels when they're yelling at you. So this day, the angel was yelling at me, and I went, oh, no way, I've finally got this ponkhead, finally got this, I'm finally not thinking about the dude. I actually hadn't been thinking about him for weeks. Literally, I felt so free. Felt like I could move on in life and start living my life for me. And maybe actually there might be a chance of being able to fall in love with someone else, And I went and got that coffee, and I drove to his house, and I felt real frustration with the angels. Felt so frustrated that here I am, yet again, putting the olive branch out, yet again, being the one that breaks the silence, yet again. Oh my goodness. How many times are you going to repeat this cycle? How many times? What a fool am I? But an angel's telling me to do it, so I better do it. Get to his door, and, just looks so relieved and happy to see me. Holds me, kisses me on the forehead, and really just beyond ecstatic to see me. And sad, like really sad. And we sit there and we're talking and this and that, rah, rah. And then I keep going to go, and he keeps offering me some food or this or that, rah, rah. And I keep going to go. And he says, do you want to watch a movie? Like he really wanted me to stay. And that was the beginning of us getting married. Me getting that coffee and going to his house. That was the pivotal point that got us to actually getting married, because I kept listening to God. I kept listening to angels every single time. I wanted to pull away or shut down or I can't do this anymore. This is boring. I would get another message similar to that coffee message. So no, you won't give up on him. You're not going to give up on him. You guys need to, and then when I got to know them and everything went so pear-shaped and not at all what I thought it was going to look like, and what I know that he was so depressed and withdrawn, that wasn't what he thought it was going to look like either. He was just overwhelmed by everything. He realized, The house is too big, the battery power is 15. The house is too big, the yard's too big, my health is aging. He said, I feel like I'm a useless husband and a useless human being. And I said, I love you, you're perfect for me, I've chosen you. But he wouldn't believe it. Like, his self-esteem was just not there. He really felt like he wasn't good enough for me or this life. And I kept saying, I'm prepared to do 90% of the work. I just want you to watch sunsets or come for the walks with us on the river, or just, and I even said, and just some thanks every now and again would be really nice, or even making a healthy meal every now and again would be really nice. I don't mind if for the first few years I do most of the hard work, because when I create us a beautiful home, then we can actually relax together more. I have to work really hard for a couple of years, but then we can actually both relax. But part of it was really fearful about his aging and his breathing issues, and so many issues, so many tangents to this story, everyone. So many tangents. And then, we both got so overwhelmed. Everything was so. There wasn't really any real sort of routine. There was no routine really, except for a coffee in the morning and going for a walk. We had heaps of joy. He told me over and over again that he was so happy. He loves Northam. I really wanted the house to become a home, and that was stressing me out. But apart from that and our money situation, I really needed to get my body healthy so I could start working and bringing some money in. And I was so injured and crippled. I hated my health issues, that's for sure. We both had health issues going on. We had a lot of financial issues going on. The house needed more work than what we both realised when we bought it. That was really depressing. We couldn't get people to help us out. There was just a lot going on. There was so much going on. And I was aware that we needed to get some time out and some fun. And also, I thought we needed to get some mental health happening as well, mainly because I thought he was depressed because of his family rejecting him and what's the word? Dishonoring. What's the word when people discard you from the family? When you get shunned out. So much. There was so much to do. It was overwhelming. Everything was too much. Everything was too much. And it really felt like devil attack from every tangent. And then that's when I was really questioning, was that coffee talk, going to his house with the coffee, was that the devil in disguise just trying to kill me? Or was it really God? And then what I shared with you all this last time around, when things really went really pear-shaped again, like in a really bad way. I started doing a lot of research, first into narcissism, just to really understand what narcissism is. Then the twin flame journey. Trauma bond journey, twin flame journey, attachment styles. And then I can't remember what. I was doing so much study, like lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of study to try to ascertain. Oh, that's right, the Bible. I started going to church every Sunday and really reading the Bible a lot, and started reading a lot in the Bible that correlated. And I've shared this over and over again, everyone. What the world says about trauma bond, the empath narcissistic dynamic, the and even attachment style theories, that no. Trauma bond and narcissistic empath dynamic. What the world says to do about that is the opposite to what the Bible says. And in my heart, all I've ever wanted to do is be kind and considerate and compassionate and humble and forgiving. And I had all these people going, you've got to stop allowing the abuse. You've got to stop allowing these dynamics. You've got to start getting really firm boundaries. You've got to not shut down, but shut off the dynamic. Like, And at this point, there were some people saying, trying to say that I was the fool for even trusting him in the first place after all that history of him doing the run, the pull, push, run, blah, blah, blah. And in my heart, a lot of what these people were saying didn't feel right. Like, it didn't feel right to shut him out or to be angry or to, I kept thinking, I know the essence of our dynamic, that I know the essence of our relationship is a magical joy, and the essence of our relationship, connection, and marriage always has been, from the very beginning when we first met, has always been love. There's always been this deep love for each other, this deep care for each other. And it's like the truest love. But he says he's never loved anyone, and he's deeply in love with me. I have loved before because I have a capacity for loving very deeply. However, I had never loved anyone the way I love him. So my love for him and his love for me is something that neither of us has ever experienced before for anyone. It's what you call a twin flame love. It is just it's unless you're in a twin flame connection, you do not, it's impossible to describe in words. It's so magical. It's so childlike freeing. It's so, you go to the essence of your true authentic being, and you can be and show all of who you are, knowing that all of who you are is safe with that person. You completely just, you laugh, you do your silly voices, your silly characters, your it's just beautiful. And when people have a dynamic that's beautiful and pure and loving, and that actually overrides what. So, for example, my husband and I have both had very traumatic childhoods. We're both extremely traumatized beings. Extremely traumatized beings. So we've got that trauma bond connection, but we've also discussed the traumas to a degree and worked at ways for that not. But we needed to ascertain that when you have a full relationship with someone and you've got a trauma history, the trauma, the marriage, a healthy marriage always involves a healthy amount of work and healthy boundaries. And that was something that we hadn't yet got around to doing. We attempted it the second time. We started doing some counselling, only 2 lots of it, and then we got stuck in complacency because we both got too lazy or too. That's what the biggest mistake we both made was, we didn't consciously. And this stage, the mandates were lifted, and there wasn't the mask thing anymore, and so there was no excuse for that except for complacency. And that's where we went really wrong, because my husband still hadn't done any healing around his birth of origin trauma bond dynamic. And he has a horrifying trauma bond attachment with his siblings and other people in his life, which has actually created a dynamic of learnt behavior and patterns that had to be healed. A lot of those patterns he was attempting to bring into our marriage because that's what he knew. He knew that the sarcasm, the push-pull, the blaming, the looking for what's going wrong, looking for what's not going right, like that. He says, I'm a pessimist, I'm a curmudgeon, and I'm a pessimist. I'm going, well, can't you start really seeing life as the full blessing that is, and looking at everything, like look at it glass half full rather than glass half empty. So we're always working on that. He always looked at things, his default was to look at things from the negative and from a fear base and from a And he was prepared to do the work. He was so happy to do the work. He wanted to do the counselling. And he was going to write his family a letter telling them everything, which he didn't do, and I didn't insist on it happening. So we had that frame. We were working on the house, and we were what you'll call we were in heaven. We were in heaven. We were just in ecstasy with each other, and we were just in complacency mode. But I knew underlying that we had to deal with this family of origin dynamic, because I knew that that was always going to be a problem for us and our marriage. And he kept saying, no, it's okay, they mean nothing to me, it doesn't matter. And I said, well, if that's the case, delete their numbers, get rid of their emails. If you don't care to ever see them again, don't even let them have the opportunity to interfere into our life by contacting, by ringing up, and you get all stressed out. He didn't want to answer the phone. He was so in trepidation if it was them, because he didn't want to answer, he didn't want to talk to them, he didn't want anything to do with them. I said, well, if that's the case, change your number, do something about it, hold them to account, have the conversation, do something to move it forward so it doesn't keep having this negative impact on us, so we can actually be and move into the true union that we are destined to be in. But it can only get to that place when we are truly not having our union interfered with by these really familiar, overgrown, outdated trauma bond dynamics. I wasn't assertive enough. I didn't know that much about the godly wife, the mantle of life back then. Now I do. Now I wasn't assertive enough. My husband's only ever known manipulation, control, domination, deceitfulness, lying, bullying, blah blah. So I was always, I'm going to say and do everything in our relationship in such a way that he always has freedom of choice, freedom of will, which is what we all want. But someone said to me, that's where you went wrong, because as wife you had the right to say duh, 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 duh. But I never stood up in my power and my role as wife, just like I never really stood up in my power and role as mother or sister or friend. I used to be quite, didn't want to ever come across as if I was, I was always mindful that everyone had free choice in every situation, to the point where I was scared to even say my viewpoint or my opinion or my thoughts on something in case it got perceived as manipulation or perceived as bullying. Or I had a twisted viewpoint of what healthy communication is and what healthy boundary setting is and what healthy respect. Didn't have self-respect. I didn't actually have self-respect or self-honor. This last 5 months, I've learned self-honor and self-respect in a way I've never had it before. If that's why God brought my husband and I together, for me to finally learn how to respect myself, well then, bravo, because now when I'm out and about and I'm in relation with people, if someone breaks a boundary or says or does something that I feel uncomfortable with, I go, oh, I don't like the way you just said that, and it's fine. I realize it's completely fine for me to say that now. Whereas before, I would keep myself silent. A lot of the time I wouldn't speak my truth. I often didn't know how to say things. I didn't know how to say it in a way that could be heard. And so I wasn't stepping up as my role as wife. I wasn't stepping up to help my husband be a good husband. And I've learned so much about this. And I got told by God that, and I asked God about the journey, and was it really God's desire for my husband and I to come together after all these years of the push-pull, hot, cold run? It's just been the most excruciating interaction, dynamic, and relationship I've ever had in my life. And connected with the most exhilarating joy. So it's like they're both as equal as each other. And I was getting these answers of yes, it's a divinely ordained relationship, and I'm working miracles with your husband. And with the book that I bought, the prayers over your husband, I learned about the wife's mantle, and I learned about
the power of prayer over husband, and how the wife's prayer over her husband, God listens to that. It's like there's a allocated authority that a wife has, that God gives a wife. And so me as wife of my husband, my prayers have more power than anyone else's prayers over him. And as wife, as Ezra, it's my role to ensure that he's safe and supported, and help him to be the best man that he can be. So I've been learning about being the godly wife, learning about how to step up into this role as godly wife, and role as a godly child, like, I've become a Christian. And my whole journey about becoming a Christian has been wonderful. It's been like, I'm like, this is a really beautiful experience to learn about God's love and how worthy I am in God's eyes, and that I'm completely lovable and worthy of God's love, and worthy of respect, love, and kindness from everyone around. And for the first time in my life, actually honoring that I'm worthy of love, worthy of respect, worthy of speaking my boundaries, speaking what I need. And obviously, this is where it's really sad. Obviously, upon my husband's the promised miracle homecoming, that God let me know it was happening, and God even prepared me for how to deal with my husband's homecoming. I was like, this is exciting, because now I really get it. I really get how it is that no marriage, no healthy marriage survives unless God is first. So God first, and then cleaving to spouse second, which is something that my husband and I were never doing. My husband wasn't even cleaving to me as wife. I had to go through the most painful, excruciating experience of realizing my husband had never even committed to me properly with his heart, because he was actually more committed to the dysfunctional trauma bond dynamic with family, of pretending that he didn't care about whether he was approved or not, but worrying all the time about what they thought, but not admitting it to himself. So he was in this horrible, scary internal dynamic of pretending to himself, lying to himself that these people didn't matter to him. But in fact, he was so trauma bond connected to these people that they mattered more to him than even himself to himself. Even looking after himself, and definitely him cleaving to or working on our marriage. So thus, he didn't commit to our marriage. He didn't do anything really to make our marriage work from the beginning. He wasn't there. He was withdrawn. He wasn't actually. This is why I went to all that heartbreak in the beginning, all that breakdown, because he literally wasn't in his full heart here, present in this moment, in this life, because he had to make the sacrifice of his family, because they disowned him from marrying me, and then he pretended that that didn't matter, but actually subconsciously he was perceiving it as a sacrifice, and he sacrificed his family to marry me. And rather than hold them to account or do the healing around that, he chose to start blaming me and putting me down and harassing me and belittling me. And that's where the psychological abuse really amped up. And around this time, I was like, is it because he's autistic? Is it because he's depressed about moving from the city to the country? Is it because he's depressed about his aging? And I'm just like trying to have all these conversations with him, and every time, but we needed we needed professional help around this, which a Christian family counselor is. And back then I didn't know that. So this is all stuff I know now, but I didn't know that then, because I wasn't stepping up as wife. I didn't even step up as a human being for myself. So this is where the twin flame activation of deep trauma healing got really pummeled into both of us. Like the deep darkest of our trauma bond dynamics with others and the trauma bond connection with each other was being so activated. God created that for us to heal. And that's when I became really aware this definitely is a godly ordained relationship, marriage. You only ever go to these deep processes of healing with someone who you've got this real intimate trust and love with. So as high as you go in your ecstasy is as low as you go in the dark shadow until the shadow is healed, and then you work it out together. Because my husband and I actually literally allowed each other to abuse each other really badly. We've both actually got to the point of physically hurting each other, really badly hurting each other, really badly. We got to the point of we stepped into fear rather than focusing on love. And then my husband's response to this fear space that we both went into was to go further and further and further and further into fear, and then surround himself with a narrative of fear, limitation, shadowland, shadow narrative, and to because that's a familiar space to be. That's a space he grew up in. He knows that language well. He knows that, that really dark, put down, sarcastic, bullying, deceitful, small talk, non-authentic. He knows that. He said to me, our family is nasty. We're nasty to each other. We've got a nasty streak. We're all nasty. And, we're all really nasty to each other. And he says, without me, they can't, he said to me, like, they so hate each other so much. His sister and his brother hate each other so much. He said that without me, they can't actually be together. They need me. I'm the glue. And I'm like going, well, isn't that sad then that they pushed you away rather than supporting you and honoring you, that they pushed you away? So we're at a point where I got gifted a ticket to this dance party tonight, and everything in me doesn't want to socialize, doesn't want to go out. Like, I don't know if you can see it in my eyes. I'm so drained. The last 3 days, I've been working really, really, really hard in this house for weeks and weeks and weeks now, and got a new renovation job, and that physically exhausted. The dance will help my body not be in pain, and I will have fun. It's an hour and a half drive. I'm going to dance, and it'll be fun. And I had a friend say to me, make sure you dress up. I said, I don't even want to put makeup on. She goes, no, you put that makeup on, you dress up like you used to. You go out and you go have fun. You make sure you have fun. Nadina, you go out there and you have fun. And then she goes, God really wants you to meet someone tonight. God wants you at that dance party because you're meant to meet someone. And this takes us to the next point of this YouTube, which is at 107.56 at the moment. But I said to God, like, what is it they want me to do? Like, how am I supposed to respond? Because my husband has gone into such a small, dark space. He's pulled away. He's lying. He's outright lying. He's lied to the police. He's lying. He's lying so much right now. He's actually gone to that language of lying. He's lying to himself, just like when he was up here last year and he was telling me that he didn't care if he never saw his family again and they mean nothing to him and this and that, rah, rah. And he fervently kept trying to make me believe that, to the point where I almost believed it. And I went, no, there's no way you can't not ever want to see them again. There's no way that you don't care. There's no way that... I thought, no, that doesn't ring true to me. But he wouldn't talk about it more. That's why we needed that professional therapist. But I knew that he was lying. But I thought, okay, well, whatever. And I thought, well, maybe it's not going to be so harmful if he has that thought process. But I don't think so. I think he needs to heal this with his family. And that's basically where he's at now. Again, he's lying. He's lying to himself about how he wants his life to look, how his life is now. He's lying about who he wants in his life, who he's spending time with. but he's all over the place. Like, I remember when we first came up to Northern, like, what happened to that dream when we were down at Dinella? All those months and months of being super excited about this dream, all those 8 months of looking for a property and the excitement of finding a property, that excitement. He was like a beautiful, magical teenager. He was so excited. And then it went to nothing. Then it just died out. It became like a zombie. It was like he was a corpse. Our neighbour, Jim and Bev, who own this house, this one here that we bought it from, they owned the two houses. And Jim would see me out in the garden every day and go, "Where's Anthony?" And I'd go, "Oh, he's inside." And then eventually Jim says to me, "Where's Anthony, Nadina? I never see him." And I said, "Well, he's inside sleeping." And he goes, "Really? Sleeping?" I said, "Yep. He spends so much time sleeping. He's either on his computer game, or he's watching YouTube, or he's sleeping." And then I just started to cry. And I said to Jim, "This was supposed to be our dream. Why doesn't he care? What happened to the dream?" I said, "I gave up my whole life for this. I had a life. I had a lifestyle and a life. And I gave it all up in this complete faith and hope in us, in my husband's and my love and our dream, with this shared dream that we had." And then it just went to nothing. It went to like nothing. And then it was just me working the land on my own, hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. And then I'd come in and I'd make some food. And I'm just going, man, I'm just like so isolated. I'm so lonely here. I'm so lonely. I'm so lonely. And it wasn't just because I was working the land on my own and then my partner wasn't by my side even knowing the land, didn't even walk around to see the land or understand the land or see the beautiful sunsets or the aurora borealis that we're having. Or I was just like, wow. It was more than that. It was like, what about having some excitement and fun and some verve and some spark, like in with life? That wasn't there either. I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on here? I went, I have given up so much to create this dream with this person, but this person's a zombie. They're a corpse. They're not even alive. And I started to die. And all these people that were watching the situation literally said I became like a nothingness. Like, they got really concerned for me. They said, you lost your soul, Nadina. You lost I became a corpse. I also became a corpse. I lost my verve. I lost my laughter. I lost my cheekiness, my playfulness, I just lost it. I started to die myself, and then I became suicidal. Sad, hey? It's tragic. Anyways, where am I going with this? So tonight, the dance party, what actually happened was some people have just basically said God works in mysterious ways, and maybe the marriage was literally just to get you to know them. Maybe the whole purpose of it was just to get me into this country town, away from the city. Because I never would have chosen Northern. I never would have chosen a small country town, a big block of this lifestyle that I'm living right now. It's nothing that I would have chosen on my own. It's just nothing. It's been like a trap and a tomb. It's been a nightmare, really. But the animals, they've been, they've been really. It's interesting. I see everything's a blessing, but at the same time, everything has been a complete challenge. Like, nothing has been easy. Everything's been such a challenge, like an excruciating challenge. And then I've had to go, where is the blessing? Where is God's divine plan in this? Like, nothing made sense. Nothing made sense. I sacrificed this amazing life for what I thought was going to be this exquisite dream with my beautiful husband in this beautiful house that we chose together, on this beautiful country town that we chose together, with our animals that we chose together. But then the other just runs away, betrays us all and runs away and drops it like it drops it, but was never really committed anyway. Wasn't really committed to the dogs training, wasn't committed to running the land or working the land, or but still there was still the magic there, the music, and there was still the dreaming. And I kept trying to encourage him to have confidence in his music, and we were going to do the traveling around the wheat belt and play at the pubs and stuff, and he was going to maybe manage the local really groovy heritage pub down the road. And I was always encouraging him to work with his music, which I believe is his God's given gift. So I always believe that his singing is his God's gift, and that's what he's meant to be doing. And I was encouraging him to have the confidence to actually get out there and do that beautiful singing and trust himself. And he kept saying he didn't think he was good enough. He never felt like he was good enough. And I'm going, please let that story go. You're beautiful. He just didn't see how beautiful he was, how what a special. This was the saddest thing of all, was his lack of self-esteem was so low with this perpetuated narrative of stuff that he'd been listening to and hearing for most of his life. I've heard the way he's been spoken to. His mum, I held his mum to account once for the way she spoke to him, and that was just when he and I were friends. She actually showed a lot of respect to me after that. She was actually quite chuffed that I stood up to her. It was quite interesting. Anyways, yeah, I got given this, all these different messages about God's mysterious way of being, and maybe it was still God's divine plan for my husband and I to come together. Because I'm supposed to be a northern. Nothing else makes sense. Nothing else makes sense. I don't understand. And the animals, of course, I never would have taken on 2 big hounds on a low budget. Didn't have the finances on my own. I had to stop work 5 months ago because I had the little one and I had to monitor them. But now she's big enough and Alvin's sterilised, I can actually leave and work. So now I'm bringing financial, been able to bring finance, because I've got like land rates, water rates, utility bills, animal food, the retic issues. I've had to deal with plumbers, got a lot of expenses. When you've got a property, a big block of property in an old house, it's expensive. And animals are expensive, and an old car, they're expensive. And I literally was living on like, I had nothing. It was $600 a fortnight, and that's all I could live on because I couldn't work because little Xenobeen was too little. And we literally have been surviving because of my neighbours and some friends really helping me out. And now I've got the ability to start paying them back. But I've been paying all my other bills as well. So I've been plodding along, doing okay. Like, actually, I've been doing okay. It's been a struggle. But I've been managing. And there's no way I would have taken on a big block of land and an old house and 3 animals unless my beautiful partner was with me by my side. So really, this reality that I'm in is so opposite to anything that I desired, wanted, or this is not the life that I planned, and yet this is my reality. This is actually my reality, and I've had no choice but to make it work, because with the animals, I thought, well, that's God there, isn't it, that I had the animals? Because without the animals, I literally could have just left this house. It would have just sat here empty. Just would have sat here empty for however long. And I literally could have, gone and stayed with friends, because my previous property down in Mount Lawley is gone. I surrendered it. I let it go. So that was my home of 8 years. And interestingly enough, a month after I surrendered it was when my husband left the first time. So I had no choice then either but to stay in this house that I'm in now. And back then this was not a livable space. But I was really blessed because one of my really good friends who's a builder said, Nadina, you have suffered so much we're going to make this home livable for you. You've been left and I had no money at that point. None. I didn't even have Centrelink money. I didn't have a single cent. And yeah, we were spending 4 days every week working on this house. We got heaps done. And as some of you know, it was during that process that my husband came back, sidled in edgeways, but pretended to his family that he hadn't come back, and pretended to his family that I wasn't here. He was lying to his family constantly. He was saying to them, I don't want them to know. I don't want them to know. And I said, why? 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 Because he goes, because they'll harass me. They'll start harassing me if they know that, I'm living back with you. So he was here for about 3 or 4 weeks before they found out, and then after they found out, it was like non-stop harassing him. But at that point, one of the reasons why he came back was because my friend Brad and I had been working really hard on this house, and we got it from a misshaveled, sort of out of control space to something quite nice. We focused on electricity in the shed, focused on we did some really good stuff. And and then we took out the middle wall, the middle wall. By about that stage, my husband was involved, and so it was my husband, my husband's and my friend Brad and me, and sometimes some other people. It was exciting. We started getting a lot of stuff. It was fun. My husband and I were getting the stained glass door in the kitchen, and it was exciting. It was fun. But as I said, we stopped focusing on dealing with the birth of origin trauma bond dynamics, which were always going to rear their ugly head. We didn't deal with or unpack anything that had been happening for the year before, all that stuff that had been going on. We didn't actually deal with any of it properly. We didn't go deep. So inevitably, a lot of it rose its head again, but worse, because I know my friend Brad said to me what must have been happening was they must have been sending him lots of messages to put doubt in his head about him and I having an affair, because 5 days before the last run-in occurred, my husband started going really mean to me. 5 days of meanness. I'm going, what is going on? Why are you being so mean? Can you please stop this? Rah, 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 rah. It got worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. But my friend Brad said to me, I remember when he dropped me off, he said, oh, so Nadine's going to come and spend 3 days working on your house, is she? And he was really tired. He just wanted to go to bed. And he realised now that my husband was showing signs of jealousy. And then my friend Brad and I think that what happened was there was some interference there. And my husband was getting messages from people in collusion to try to separate us, because there's been all these people trying to break us up and separate us from before we got married, like refusing to come to the wedding, refusing to support our love and our choices, but also deliberately going out of their way to put lies into his head and to try to make him fear me and blah blah blah, this and that, rah rah. So it's awful, it's awful. And that never would have happened. That they wouldn't have had that power to say those lies and to create that problem if he and I were doing counselling, which he wanted to do. He wanted to heal it, but neither of us made it happen. Blah, 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 blah. I can't go back in history. You can't change this stuff. You can't go back and change history, but you can learn from it and you can heal from it. So yeah, the mantle of wife, but it's funny, because I'm deeply committed to my husband and I'm deeply in love with my husband, and no one's telling me to give up on him, but they're saying to me, look for where's God guiding you? And maybe, just maybe, God has a better man for you. Maybe, they're saying to me, maybe God had a plan for you and Anthony to get to this point, and then maybe look for the signs of when God is maybe saying let Anthony go. And one of my friends today said at this dance party, God wants you to meet someone, and I started to cry when she said that. Really don't understand this journey with my husband, my twin. Well, I think I'm pretty sure he's my twin flame. It's been the hardest journey, everyone. It's been such a hard journey. The whole time we've known each other, it's been
this deepest love affair you can ever imagine, and so tragic, and just this always been this underlying energy of we're not soaring to the maximum ability that we can soar. There's something always blocking us from soaring. There's something that just keeps blocking the majestic beauty of what it can be, just actually flowing, like ongoingly. So, like, and I know where we're at now, what we've been experiencing these last few months. I know, especially now with me being a Christian and knowing what a godly wife is, and having this fantastic community, and my self-worth has upped so much. My self-love has upped so much. My understanding of how important it is to always go to God first. Got to go to God first at all times. Cleave to God. Got to cleave to God first, and then cleave to one's spouse and the community. Now that I know this, everything about the way I am and would be, am as a wife and would be in physical connection as a wife, it's something that my husband and I have never been able to experience yet. And yet, you know, God told me that my husband is coming home, and and He's creating miracles with him, and God told me that I must forgive my husband completely. I've got to forgive him, and I've got to let God heal and support all of my hurts and anguishes around everything that's happened. And then I'm sure that there's a process there with the Christian counselors, and with going to church every Sunday and this and that there would be some deep healing, and certain things would be unpacked and worked out and healed. But I was also informed that we need to not be caught up too much in the disgustingness, the abhorrentness of what's gone down in the past, because that a lot of that was actually of the devil, but some of it was God allowed the darkness to come up for the healing to occur. But what I don't understand, it's been 5 months now, 5 months, and my husband is still stuck in lying and deceit and fear. He's still in that mindset of fear and limitation and just lying. He's still in a process of lying, and I don't understand. I've got quite a few friends praying a lot right now, because it's so sad. It's so tragic. And I know why he's lying. He's lying because he's put himself in a situation where he's surrounded himself by something that's familiar, that he's known his whole life, that he actually hates, got no respect for it, and it's always kept him small and dark, and he wanted to get away from it. He wanted to have nothing. He wanted to move anywhere and anything just to get away from this particular interaction, that he wanted to free himself. He wanted to create a whole new identity and free himself. And I said, well, you can still have those connections, but heal them. You don't have to actually get rid of the connections. You can actually heal those connections, but just be yourself. Just show your true self and be who you really are. And then those people will come up to your level. And if not, well, then so be it. But you can't be hating these people. You can't be like having these, I said, it's too unbalanced if you're going blah, 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 about these people. I don't care about them and this, nothing nice. I had nothing nice to say about these people, right, ever. And I was like, this is not healthy. I've got relationships with my family, right, and there's some issues with my family, and I can sometimes go blah, 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 but at the same time go, and blah, 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 blah. It's balanced. But he's not like that. He's like blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? It's like, oof, oof, oof. We need to soften this hatred. We need to soften this venom. We need to soften that dark energy in him. Really needs to be healed and softened, and that dark energy still needs to be healed and softened. Many a time over, we were getting there. Many a time over, like we saw into that magic, and then he'd say or do something really quite mean and nasty, and then he'd apologise. So that mean nastiness would always come out, and he'd push it at me and throw it at me, and that was breaking my heart too. But I was never going not accepting that, which obviously now I would, but I don't think he would be that nasty now, because the process of us coming back after all this trauma and all the shadows being shown, that's what God was saying. Like, what was in the past is how your shadow from the past. So a lot of that doesn't even need to be brought up to be discussed. But what I don't understand is why God is so clearly telling me that my husband is coming home. I've even had the messages prepare for a knock on the door, and then this is what you need to do. And I think I shared it with you. You know, I was told by God to put my arms out, like, and visualize my arms as being God's wings, and God was standing directly right behind me to support me. So I was being supporting my needs, and all I had to do was say, welcome home. So I was shown the vision of my husband knocking on the door and saying, please forgive me. And then my response is, welcome home, right? And then God showed me that my arms were like the wings angels, and God was directly behind me to take any of my anxiety away, and then to encircle my husband and to help take his anxiety away, and then to say, would you like a cup of tea? So I was shown that vision, and then I was shown, given strategies and ideas of what, like, how to progress with the next, you know, I don't know if it was weeks or days or whatever. And I was like, okay, thanks for that, God. That helps alleviate a lot of my anxiety, because I know that we'll be on really shaky ground. Like, there's a lot that needs to be discussed and healed, and it's just been like what you call a tragic love story. It's a tragic love story, but it can become a inspiring love story. You see that. Where we do missionary work for God, like, if we can really heal this, we actually will become so inspiring to so many people who have trauma bond dynamics. And I mean, that's basically what God said, was that God, you know, you here's your prodigal spouse, and you're to do big work for me, for God, you know. And so it's weird. I hear that, and it was so clear. It was like being spoken to, and I hear it, and I'm thinking, but God, when? Like, when is my husband coming home? When are we going to? Because, you know, it's winter's coming up, and I got vertigo all the time. Not all the time, but a lot. And I've got to climb the roof to put the evaporative thing on the top of the air conditioner thing, and not the air conditioner, the evaporative air conditioner needs to have a plastic covering put on it, and I also need to clear the gutters, and I need to do this, and I need to do that, blah, 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 blah. But the going up high on the roof, I'm really scared to do that with my vertigo in case I fall. And so, you know, but it's not just that, it's this whole house, it's this whole big block of land. It's, you know, I've been working really hard to make this into a home for my husband and I. And I've been working like really hard to make it like I did the first time when he left as well. You know, I worked really hard with the help of my friend Brad, to get it so that he could come and just relax and not stress about all the things that have to be done, but just play his music, do his beautiful singing, fluff around in the garden, just enjoy life, because we had this plan of, you know, I've got all these plans that he can still do. He's got the ability to do them, even with his, you know, breathing issues and this and that, but we needed those firm, healthy marital union boundaries, those godly boundaries, which we didn't have before, which can actually help with all the trauma and with all of the, see, everything can be forgiven,
but we haven't had the chance yet because we haven't even had a phone conversation or a healthy text message or a healthy email. There's been no healthy, healing, honest communication. There's been 3 or 4 lots of communication from my husband to me that's none of it's been loving, kind, nice, or even truthful, or moving forward, or transformative, or it's just been, you can just read it, like you can, the language, you can just tell it's someone going dup, 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 dup. But I'm used to that energy from him because that's how he speaks about other people. I've heard him speak like that about other people. I'm going, whoa, you need to work out how to soften that energy. So I know where he's coming from. He's coming from a place of fear and shut down, push away, block, black and white. It's like, hang on a minute, it's not black and white. And you don't have to be in a place of fear to actually succeed, like to actually get into that place of love and that place of trust, especially trusting God, God's divine plan. You're going to succeed. Everything is going to be okay. You're under divine God protection, and you're from a stance of love and a stance of creating and being inspired and living big. Like, this is huge, everyone. This is huge. That choosing love or fear, love or fear, love or fear, love or fear. Love is God, fear is of the devil. And my husband's currently in the devil energy, and he's surrounding himself by devil energy and devil people, and it's breaking my heart, everyone. It's breaking my heart. And obviously we're praying for him, but it's like, it's this God divine mystery journey. And then when this friend of mine said, be aware that maybe the reason why you were gifted that ticket to this dance party, especially after hearing more information that's of the negative, not just of the negative, but really disparaging, demeaning, untruthful, dark communication from my husband, which I went, wow, you've got to be kidding me. This is where he's at still now? He's still stuck in that devil energy? He's still stuck in that black space even after 5 months? And then got gifted the free dance ticket, and my friend said maybe it's God's way of saying, I'm so confused. It's been so confused, everyone. I love my husband so much. I love my husband with my heart and soul. And it's still an unreciprocated love, even though we got married. He still hasn't gone into his heart enough to love. He doesn't love himself. He doesn't love life. He doesn't love me the way he truly could or can. Because that healing hasn't happened yet. He hasn't gone into his true heart space. He slips into it, and that's where our magic happens. He knows what it is. He's gone into the 5D love many a time with me, but for periods of time, and there was weeks there. There's been times when he was like in it for weeks, and it was just beautiful, and I'm like, yeehaw, we're moving forward, yeehaw. And then the nastiness would come in again, and when I mean nasty, he goes for the jugular nasty. Like, we're talking about really like shattering my soul nasty, and I just have to keep going, whoa, 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 whoa. And the interesting thing is quite a lot of people have witnessed it and seen it, and they're just going, my gosh, this is cruel. This is so cruel. He's so cruel to you. And it's like, yeah, but can you not understand? It's because he doesn't, it's like learnt behaviour, and I keep making excuses for him, and some people go, you've got to stop making excuses for him all the time. But I'm going, but what do I do if I don't make the excuses? What do I do? Do I
Do I stop it? Do I shut it down? Do I go enough's enough? Like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to give up on him and us. Like, there's this drive, and then I've had people say to me, but that's you need to look at that. You need to see if there's actually some dysfunctional trauma bond attachment there for yourself. But then I found out through the Bible and through all my study that no, that's definitely twin flame. And then I started to really believe in that. And, you know, I've been under this this beautiful, comfortable blanket of the last few months of working really, really hard on our home so that when he comes home, he can relax. So all this hard work, most of the hard work's being done, and he can just come home and just relax. And then I get messages that indicate that he's still in that kill, cull, shut, withdraw space. And then I'm going, God, I need some clear guidance here. I thought you wanted me to marry this man. I thought you wanted me to be committed to this man, but where's, and you told me this, you're creating miracles with him. So where are the miracles? I can't see any miracles at the moment. Like, all I'm seeing is the same nasty, perpetuated darkness. Like, I'm tired, God. This has been going on for too long. I've given up my youth for this man, everyone. I gave up my youth. I've given him my heart and soul for so many years. And then when he wanted to commit to me, we got married, I just thought, yeehaw, now we can finally go to that beautiful space that I've always known we can be. And then we were getting there here and there a little bit, but there was always this underlying darkness that had to do with the unhealed family of origin trauma bond crap that was infiltrating our life. So what I'm gonna do is have a shower, get dressed into, it's called Wonderland, Alice in Wonderland. So dressing up, put makeup on. I can't cry. Like, I just got to stop the crying and had the shower, put makeup on, put some nice clothes on, get into the dance energy, and just dance and dance and dance. And then my friend said to me, and God wants you to meet someone. She reckons that's what God told her. When I was sharing what's the update of the situation and the fact that I've got also a ticket to a dance party, I can finally get to do dancing. She goes, God wants you to meet someone. There's someone there God needs you to meet. And then someone else earlier today said, God probably has a better man for you. So, can you pray for me, please, everyone? Because, and Father George told me to look out for God's, Alvin, look out for God's guidance on this. Why would God say he's coming home and to receive him with forgiveness, and that he's doing miracles on him, but allow such nasty communication to come through that's just going to hurt my heart again? Like, how much do I have to be tormented and tortured over this love? When's the love going to soar and be the divine love that's destined to be? That's what I was promised. That's what God, That's why I gave up my home in Mount Lawley and my lifestyle that was really working well for me. And a leap of faith. I did a huge leap of faith. Huge leap of faith. I was prepared to have a really quiet life with my husband in the bush. I said to God and a heap of my friends, I'm so broken. I'm so broken right now, everyone. Like, I've got this really interesting thing as well, which my phone bill got paid 4 days ago, but for some reason Telstra hasn't reconnected my phone, right? So I can't ring out on my phone right now. It's wrong. It's completely wrong because I had a hardship extension plan to the 26th of April, which was 2 days ago. And they shut it down on the 22nd, 21st, 20th or 21st. So they shut it down 5 or 6 days before the extension plan, actually the date. That was a robot that did that. But then the actual bill was paid on the 25th, a day before the extension plan date anyways. And they still haven't reconnected it. And it's so weird. I said to a few of my friends, because I can, when I've got Wi-Fi, I can ring by Facebook Messenger, and I can also, once I've shut this YouTube down, once I leave this house tonight, I can't ring anyone, and I can't text anyone, and I can't do any Wi-Fi access, so I'm going to be isolated again. And it's this perpetual pattern of being isolated, and this thing of me feeling isolated. Like, obviously, I'm under God's protection, and I don't feel like alone. Okay, I'm under God's protection. So, and that's something I never had before, and that's incredible. Like, to be a child of God and to truly believe I'm a child of God is just phenomenal. I love it. So I've got. Sorry about this. I have a sense of peace that I've never had before, and a sense of trust that I've never had before, and a real surrendering process. But what I don't understand is how to make the right decisions sometimes, like, and I keep thinking that I'm getting clear guidance, and then I'm thinking I'm making the right decision, and I get confirmation that it's the right decision, and then there's got these people saying, well, it's just, God works in mysterious ways, and if it's not Anthony, who's your beloved husband, God's got beautiful man it's either Anthony stepping up and cleaving to me as husband in a way he never has, actually honoring me, wow, honoring wife, cleaving to wife, respecting wife, protecting wife, like actually honoring, respecting and protecting me, which is something he's never done, never. And it's either that, my beautiful husband Anthony stepping up and actually being a godly husband, and as a godly couple, under me as godly wife, him as godly husband, actually moving to the godly divine union that God destines for us and desires for us. There's that, or there's a clearly divine guidance from God to move on and I've loved Anthony for so long. I've loved him with my heart and soul for so long. I just can't imagine being in a situation where I actually have to shut my heart down to him. I don't know what the message from God looks like. I don't know, everyone. Like you I know some of you in a similar situation. It's heartbreaking. It's like, what does the message from God look like when God tells you to stop loving someone and to stop giving someone chances? What does that guidance look like, everyone? I go to this dance party tonight, and yeah, of course I'm going to enjoy the dance, move my body, and I'm going to love the music, but not enjoy. Every time I work on this house and I walk the dogs and everything I do in life, I'm really at peace with the life and surrendering, and it's in this comfort blanket that my husband's coming home as a godly husband and stepping up in a way he never has before, like actually stepping up as a man and stepping into his divine masculinity and actually loving himself and loving life and loving me and loving our animals and loving our home and loving our friends and loving God and loving the sky. This is what's been my comfort blanket. This is what's been pushing me to keep working really hard on this house and to struggle through some serious financial destitution. This last 5 months has been really tough, really difficult, really challenging. And the underlying element for me has always been, I'm godly wife, Ezra, just keeping the home running, keeping the animals alive, focusing on my mental well-being in order to keep learning and growing to be the beautiful godly wife that my husband deserves. Because that's what this trauma has taught me. That's what all this experience has taught me. It's taught me how to be a godly wife and a godly person. Well, I just don't get it, everyone. I don't get how the Father George and all these other people today said, God's mysterious way. It's just that, that full faith and that full trust in God's mysterious way. Like, and the Father George said to me, and your gift of God is look at you, your honest heart. He says, look at the courage you have. Look at your ability to shine in courage. Your heart is open and you're sharing. That's your God's gift. And he goes, a lot of people shut down. A lot of people go numb. Look at you. You're standing here sharing, crying. You open your heart and you're sharing with the full capacity of your heart being open. He goes, that is your gift from God. And you've been shown again your strength. This opening of your heart, this expressing of honest, this courage, this is your God's gift. This is what God's shown you, that you've got this strength to still stand. He said, you're still standing. Look at you. You're still standing there right now, communicating from your heart to me. That is your God's gift. That's God. That's this experience showing you. And it's like, wow, but when is the pain going to stop? I'm just so... Anyways, I just disconnected for a minute, and I'm going to take that as God telling me to get ready, because I'm going to have this shower, get dressed, put a sleeping bag in the ute and a pillow. I'm going to leave the dogs alone tonight. They should be okay. I'm going to have a good dance, and as one of my friends said, a couple of my friends today said, go down there, be around that community of dancers, see who God presents to me, shows me, and I'd be open to God presenting me a better man, like my actual I don't like saying this, but the man that God really wants me to marry, I don't know. I don't understand. I thought Anthony was my man. I thought Anthony was my husband forever. I don't even want to drive. This is the sad thing. Once I leave this house, I've got no Wi-Fi access, can't ring, can't text. I'm going to be in the car and I'm going to feel so sad because I'm confused. I've been feeling this sense of conviction and peace that my husband Anthony is my twin flame, my godly ordained spouse, and coming home, and that has given me an illusion or a delusion or a security blanket that's just kept me going. It's actually been my little buffer. It's been my little. It's made me work really hard on this home, this house, my health, everything, just keeping it happening, keeping it running, keeping it all beautiful and happening to as a gift, as a wifely gift to my husband. And so without that there, without that just I don't get it. People's this life journey, and I'm not saying I'm SUIDAL, which is interesting. Alvin, I'm not that, which is really cool because I remember going this low before. That's what I would have gone to. I would have gone, life's too hard, I'm out of here. I don't even feel that. So I know that stage of my darkness is over. I think I'm going to be okay. Like when I leave this house and I start driving, I don't know what's going to come out of this YouTube discussion either. Like, I put in the home page my email address, so if anyone wants to communicate with me via email with some, like, I know that God's going to be clear as well. There's going to be some good guidance there. Alvin! I know there's going to be some good guidance there. It'll be clear. Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? It's weird. Life is so strange, isn't it? We'll talk about that. There was a group of us. There was a nun, and the pastor, the priest, and the nun, and my mentor, and we were all talking about life. You know, the journey and the tribulations of life, you know, and it is, a lot of us have really hard times. It's not abnormal for there to be pain and hardship in life. It's not abnormal. It's like, it's such a normal human construct and way of being to have pain and trauma and tribulation in your life. It's like, that's what it doesn't make you angry with God, but it definitely makes you go, wow, 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 wow. You know, we just want that peace and that, you know, we desire that peace so much. I desire that peace so much. Wow, I just desire peace. I desire peace and contentment. I want to flourish. I want to actually flourish, you know. I just want to flourish. My life's been a really hard life, hey. One day when I write my book or I get the curriculum stuff, like, it's just been pretty much, I mean, there's been a lot of joy there. It's been a good life. But gosh, there's been a lot of hardship. But what the Father George said today was really interesting. He says that my courage to stand, you just standing there, and the courage of opening your heart and expressing yourself is God's gift. And he said, standing there, you're standing there. And I know what he meant. He was saying, you're not collapsed, you're not this, you're not that. And that's why this crying's got to stop, everyone. I've got to stop actually feeling sorrow about this experience and see it as a blessing. So my husband's maybe God is creating rejection for my protection. Like, maybe God is keeping my husband away from me because God actually thinks that my husband is really dangerous for me and needs to be gone in order to open up for the godly ordained spouse that God actually has for me. But if that's the case, why did God make it so clear? Why did God go out of the angel and God go out of their way to get me to marry Anthony? This is, I'm sort of looping on this. Like, why did it seem like God was driving me marrying my husband? And against all of the anguish and the turbulence and the torment and the excruciating pain that I've gone through the many years of him and I being on and off because he wouldn't commit. Why did God go out of God's way to make me stay committed? I wanted to run many a time over. When we were at Dianella, I wanted to leave, and I had my house in Mount Lawley. We weren't married, and I had my own house. I had plenty of chances, and my husband was showing some very poor behaviours when we were down at Dianella before we even came to Northern. Very poor behaviour. He was showing how much control the trauma bond dynamic had over him, and he would lose his ability to be a respectful dude towards me when the trauma bond dynamic would actually try to force itself on top of him. But then he was standing up to it, and then I'll go, okay, this is going to work. This is okay. He was actually standing up to it, but it's all so confusing. I wish that I'd done things so differently back then. I wish when we were at Dianella I'd been more assertive about healing and counselling. But I didn't understand. I have to forgive myself. I didn't understand the significance of the trauma bond connection, and I also didn't understand its power. I didn't understand how much power it had over my husband. Alvin! I didn't understand how deeply entrapped he was with that dynamic. I thought he had more ability to rise above it because that's what he was saying he wanted to do. And I thought he was going to be able to actually do what he said he was going to do. I believed in his words. I believed in his words. See, I've always believed in my husband up until I realized he's a liar. He lies and lies and lies and lies and lies. He lies so much. It's just so sad. He actually lies. He's surrounded himself by lies right now, and he himself lies in order to perpetuate a dysfunctional narrative that allows everyone to stay dark and small and as the Father George said, I stand in truth and honesty and heart expression. I am so transparent and I speak from the heart. I'm in the stance of heart. I'm one of the most loving, kind, forgiving, patient of service. Love being of service. And oh God, this is so painful, everyone. Oh, Alvin! Sorry, I don't know why he's barking so much. Zena's here. She's fine. There she is. See, there's little Zena Vina. She's actually really fine. She's comfortable and relaxed, but Alvin's on the deck barking. Anyways, everyone, I'm gonna go out dancing. Pray for me, please. That I am able to frolic like a little magical child tonight, and that I get my drive down there safe. My car, I need to do some mechanical work on the ute, on my husband's and my ute. It's actually doing something that's not. I don't know if it's safe to drive really. And my phone doesn't work when I'm away from home. So, but I'll trust. It's all about faith. So I'm going to have a shower, put my makeup on, get dressed, get into the zone. And everyone, please pray for God's mysterious divine journey to heal us all. How many of us need healing? How many of us need clear guidance and clarity and
how many of us are struggling, and how many of us are in pain and anguish, and how many of us want to move to that next level, that godly level, and a lot of us, if not all of us. Okay. God bless 369 Thrive Tribe. Love you all so much, and God bless you all. And yeah, this is a long YouTubey. This one was 2 hours. Maybe, hopefully, someone out there gets some sort of benefit from this video. I don't know. This is like, God's divine mystery journey is something that I'm surrendering to, but gee, it hurts. It doesn't. It hurts. It hurts at the moment. It really hurts. I don't even want to say goodbye to you because I know that, but it's okay. I'm gonna have a shower and the warm water will feel amazing. Okay, lots of love. Keep well. I'll let you know how the dance party goes. I'll be in contact when I get home, and let you know reflections come up while I'm dancing, and the connections that I meet tonight, either the reconnections with people that I haven't seen for a while, or the friend of mine who gives me the ticket's going to be there, and she's wicked. Her name's Liz, and she's going to be there. It's going to be fun, and just go from there. Hey, okay, love you. Bye. Good night. Love you all. Keep well. God bless. Trying to turn this thing off. It's a little square. It's a little. Okay. See ya. Bye. Love you.